Hey guys, I want to give a big congratulations to all of the newly minted high school and college graduates out there in the world. You survived 4 years of tests, essays, and probably the occasional imposter syndrome, but you did it, and that is amazing. Truly, I'm very excited for all y'all. So in honor of those who just received a degree, I thought it would be kind of fun to do a video about music during graduation ceremonies, specifically the one that we're listening to right now. If you live in the United States, you may know this music simply as the graduation song, pretty much because that's the only time we ever listen to it, except for that one time when we all watched Fantasia 2000 and then just kind of completely forgot of its existence. The piece is called Pomp and Circumstance No. 1 in D major, a widely popular English march by Sir Edward Elgar, this mustachioed gentleman right here, or here, I don't know, here, whatever. Now you may be thinking, wait, why do we listen to British music during graduation ceremonies? That doesn't make any sense. And that is what this video will try to answer, hopefully with some moderate success. I don't know, we will see. Ooh, this is going to be a journey, folks.
Wait, yep. Okay. Go!
To understand how we got to the now, we have to start this story at the tail end of the Romantic era in 1880. England's music scene was going through an identity crisis. The British Empire was at its peak from a military and economic standpoint, with territories in every corner of the world, making way for phrases like "the sun never sets on the British Empire." However, the same could not be said about its music. The vast majority of music performed in concert halls were not from England, but
other foreign styles,
mainly Italy, Italian, and French compositions. In fact, the last well-known English composer was Henry Purcell, who died in 1695, which 200 years, folks. So, needless to say, there was a longing for genuinely British national music from both critics and audiences. In 1882, critics called for a movement to develop independent British musical traditions in order to free themselves from
foreign influences.
The Royal College of Music was founded in the same year for the purpose, quote, to enable us to rival the Germans. It was customary at the time for aspiring composers to travel to European conservatories for their academic education in order to become successful, and the Royal College was trying to break that tradition. They were trying to break the tradition of the traveling, not the actual success. That would probably ruin the purpose of the actual college. Anyway, two of the composers that led this cultural charge were Herbert Perry and Charles Stanford. Both of them had gained critical and national success for their works, were formally trained, founding members of the Folksong Society, as well as professors to future composers like Gustav Holst and Ralph Vaughan Williams. Alas, for one reason or another, neither of them obtained international success, which would have brought this Renaissance movement into its full fruition. So where is Edward Elgar in this musical equation, and how did he end up on top?
Please me, it's my time to shine. It's my greatest showman moment.
Despite his growing reputation as a composer in the 1880s and 90s, many critics kind of dismissed Sir Elgar as part of this Renaissance movement because of his personal background. He was the son of a piano tuner, had no academic training, and was Catholic. This meant that he was usually not privy to certain social circles that would have helped progress his career. This changed in 1899 with the premiere of the Enigma Variations, which finally gave Elgar the international recognition as a composer with a truly British musical style. German composer Richard Strauss would later raise his glass to Elgar during a toast, quote, "To the welfare and education of the first English progressivist, Meister Edward Elgar." One of the surprising reasons why he may have achieved this recognition was because he was self-taught. Composers like Perry and Stanford, these guys, drew inspiration from old folk tunes and English music from the Baroque and Renaissance era. Whereas Elgar was not interested in music from the past and was more inspired by continental composers like Brahms, Wagner, Berlioz, and Mendelssohn. The result was a distinct British tone, stately, pastoral, inspiring, and just that soupçon of excessiveness, not too much, just, a sprinkle. In 1901, we're in the 20th century, folks. Oh my God. In 1901, Elgar bragged to a friend, quote, "I've got a tune that'll knock 'em flat." The tune in question would end up being Pomp and Circumstance Marches number 1 and 2. A total of 5 marches would be composed within his lifetime, but the first one was by far the most popular. After its premiere in October 1901, director Henry Wood noted, "The people simply rose and yelled. I had to play it a second time, with the same result. In fact, they refused to let me go on with the program. After considerable delay, and merely to restore order, I played the march a third time. And that, I must say, was the one and only time in the history of the promenade concerts that an orchestral item was accorded a second encore." And it makes sense folks would cling to that particular march. At first listen, it gives off imagery of triumph, nostalgia, and hope for the future. And when you listen to it for the 50th time, you hear all of those beautiful descending minor chords into major chords that show the shakiness of hope and triumph. Like we don't know what the future holds for us, but so long as we keep moving forward, then we could be okay. I mean, at least that's what I hear at this point, and why I think Pomp and Circumstance is a good choice for graduation processions. Speaking of graduations, and for this video, I guess, in 1905, Samuel Sanford, a music professor at Yale, invited Edgar to receive an honorary doctor in music degree. Now, Elgar was originally not interested in coming to the US, but he and Sanford were really close friends and made an exception. As a side note, this was not Elgar's first honorary degree, but actually his third. I think he ended up with like 6 of them. Like, he was a collector. There were 14 other honoraries that year, but Elgar was kind of the star of the show. In the speech, he was described as leadership in the art in which gives noble expression to that which is uplifting and inspiring in human feeling. As the honoraries were leaving the stage, the Dean of Music played Pomp and Circumstance on the organ as the recessional. We don't know why the Dean chose that music over some of his other pieces, but this is the starting point of the graduation traditions in the United States. Since Yale is an Ivy League school, other universities slowly started using it in their graduation ceremonies. Princeton performed it in 1907, University of Chicago performed it in 1908, but the University of Maryland didn't perform it until 1983. Additionally, it was common to switch up the music lineup every year. So it's unclear exactly when it became commonplace to perform Pomp and Circumstance during the procession. This is because the important primary sources to verify this information are commencement programs. Many of these early programs would not list the musical lineup, simply say processional and call it a day. This music could have been the alma mater song, the Star Spangled Banner, or another suite or march. Without that info, you have to rely on other primary sources such as old newspapers, letters, or interviews of witnesses or experts. Those sources take a long time to gather and analyze, and the vast majority of them have not been digitized on the internet yet, which is only frustrating for weirdos like me who are scouring archival websites at 3 in the morning. I have seen a few websites that say that Pomp and Circumstance became the processional standard by the mid-1920s, but they don't cite sources to back up that claim. And without those sources, it's kind of hard to take that very seriously. So if I had to take a guess on when Pomp and Circumstance was forever solidified in graduation ceremonies, I would say it's around 1950. Why that year? Well, that was when Yale decided to no longer play the piece during their graduation ceremonies. That's right, they don't do it. They don't play it at all. According to a 2003 article in the Yale Alumni Magazine, the college secretary apparently went to the university band director and said, "Do not play that song. Pomp and Circumstance is high school de classe." And if you had to look up the word déclasse like I did, he basically said that the piece was no longer prestigious enough for Yale anymore because it had become a standard piece for those darn plebeian high schools.
How rude!
I mean, I can understand if you're kind of tired of the piece, but the reasons is poor at best.
I hate all these damn rich people.
That being said, many universities don't use pomp and circumstance in their ceremonies and have opted for other pieces, which I think is great. That is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, PNC is a great piece and works really well for graduations, but it's just so overdone. I know no band nerds that don't think of that piece with complete disdain.
Alright, that's actually not a really fair thing to say. I definitely know musicians that love to play this piece. But all I'm saying is that I know enough of them that get so sick and tired of practicing this piece over and over again that they just kind of want to tie it up in the woods and leave it to die.
There are so many wonderful pieces out there in the world that are perfect for graduation ceremonies. So if you're tired of performing pomp and circumstance every year, I mean, here are a few alternative pieces. Maybe y'all can convince your band director to expand their ceremonial repertoire. I mean, at least for 1 year. You could do a common graduation processional from another country, like the Triumphal March from Verdi's opera Aida. If you hate your clarinetist, then go with Marche militaire française by Cesson. And finally, my personal favorite piece I found while researching this topic is Procession of the Nobles by Rimsky-Korsakov. And that is it for this video. I had to stop researching at one point in order to preserve my sanity, and it might as well be now. Let me know what pieces were played during your graduation ceremony. I am genuinely curious about your responses. Again, congratulations to everybody that graduated. Here's to you, as well as your guardians, instructors, and mentors that helped you along the way. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day.